Hello and welcome to Veterans Medals Workshop. Today we have a great new program. We're going to take a look at the United States Navy in Vietnam, and we're looking today at the 325 different types of ships that the Navy deployed over there from 1964 to 1975. I think you're going to be amazed. From the mighty aircraft carriers on Yankee Station launching all of the aircraft, to the destroyers doing coastal gunfire, heck, even the Battleship off of the coast. And then we'll also take a look at the small swift boats that were in the Mekong Delta. We'll look at all of the categories of United States Navy ships that served in Vietnam during those 10 or more years. Over a third of the Navy was always on station. And so if you're a Navy veteran or a family member was a Navy veteran, this is a show for you. I think you'll enjoy it. The backbone of naval power in Vietnam was the aircraft carriers, ships like the USS Enterprise and the Kitty Hawk and Constellation, the Ranger. They were operating off of Yankee Station in the Gulf of Tonkin, and these carriers launched thousands of combat sorties. Operation Rolling Thunder, Operation Linebacker, day and night operations, launch, recover, rearm, refuel, repeat. These ships were floating air bases. 28 different United States Navy aircraft carriers served in the waters off of Vietnam, many with multiple tours and deployments. The Essex class continued to be the heart of U.S. naval strength until supercarriers joined the fleet in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Several of these carriers were rebuilt to handle heavier and faster aircraft in the early jet age, and some served well after the Vietnam War. Of the 24 ships in the class, 4, Yorktown, Hornet, Lexington, and Intrepid, had been preserved as museum ships. And during the Vietnam War, 13 of the 24 Essex-class aircraft carriers that had been built saw action. The Midway class was a class of 3 U.S. Navy carriers. The lead ship was the Midway by Franklin D. Roosevelt and the USS Coral Sea, which was commissioned in 1947 and decommissioned in 1990. These Midway-class carriers were the beast of their time, big, tough, and built for a changing world. They were designed during World War II, but they became the backbone of a Cold War fleet, bridging the era from prop planes to supersonic jets. And at more than 900 feet long, they carried everything from Sky Raiders to Phantoms or Intruders. Thousands of sailors lived aboard, running a floating city that could project American power anywhere on the globe. The Forrestal class of carriers consisted of a USS Forrestal, the Saratoga, the Ranger, and the Independence, and they were the first of the U.S. Navy supercarriers that saw extensive service during the Vietnam War. They were massive, over 1,000 feet long, displacing nearly 80,000 tons. These ships brought together innovations that set the standard for every carrier that followed. An angled flight deck so the jets could land and take off at the same time. Deck-edge elevators that could speed up flight operations, and steam catapults strong enough to launch the new generation of heavy jet aircraft. During the Vietnam War, these decks were the heartbeat of naval aviation. Day and night, A-4 Skyhawks, A-6 Intruders, and F-8 Crusaders thundered off the catapults. Pilots would tell you every launch felt like getting a kick by a giant. Below decks, thousands of sailors worked around the clock. Ordnance crews kept loading bombs, engineers keeping the turbines humming, cooks turning out thousands of meals a day. To the men who served on the Forrestal class, these ships weren't just carriers. They were part of their lives, their memories, and their pride. The Kitty Hawk class of supercarriers was an improvement on the Forrestal class. 3 were built: the Kitty Hawk, the Constellation, and the America, as well as a variant, the John F. Kennedy. They were the next leap forward, sleeker, faster, and more refined. These ships represented the Navy at a full stride during the jet age. Their decks were alive with noise, heat, and tension, catapults thundering, arresting wires snapping, and men in colored jerseys working shoulder to shoulder to keep the flight operations running like clockwork. As anyone who ever served aboard one of these carriers, they'll tell you these ships had personalities of their own. The Connie was known for her spirit and fierce crew pride. Kitty Hawk was known for her long deployments and relentless tempo, and the America was for her toughness and class. When you talk about the Kitty Hawk class, you're talking about the heartbeat of naval aviation during one of the most demanding eras in our nation's history. All of these ships are now decommissioned. The Enterprise class consisted of a single nuclear-powered supercarrier, the USS Enterprise, the legendary Big E. It was in a class of its own. It wasn't just another aircraft carrier. It was the world's first nuclear-powered supercarrier and the pride of the U.S. Navy. 8 nuclear reactors driving a ship that could steam for years without refueling. The Enterprise can now pack her hangars and tanks with nearly half as much aviation fuel and ordnance for her aircraft, making her a true powerhouse. Off Yankee Station, she became a floating fortress of air power, launching wave after wave of Skyhawks, Phantoms, and Intruders over North Vietnam. Her flight deck was a symphony of controlled chaos, jets thundering down the catapults, tailhooks slamming into wires, and the ever-present smell of jet fuel and salt air. To her crew, serving aboard the Enterprise was more than duty, it was history in motion. Service of Navy battleships wasn't quite over in Vietnam because the USS New Jersey was recommissioned in 1968, and the Navy unleashed a legend from the past to deliver raw, old-school firepower in a jet age. She packed 9 16-inch guns capable of hurling 2,700-pound shells more than 20 miles inland, each one landing with the force of a freight train hitting at supersonic speed. When the New Jersey opened fire along the coast of Vietnam, the ground shook for miles. For the sailors on the Big J, she was a living legend, massive, loud, and unstoppable. She shelled enemy strongholds, supply lines, and troop concentration, giving American and South Vietnamese forces crucial support during some of the toughest fighting of the war. The New Jersey's Vietnam deployment marked one of the last great chapters in battleship history. During the Vietnam War, several classes of cruisers, including the Boston, Galveston, and Providence classes, deployed to Vietnam, with a total of about 15 cruisers serving off the coast of Vietnam throughout the conflict. The majority of the cruisers were light cruisers, and they were primarily conducting gunfire support missions along the Vietnamese coast, bombarding the enemy targets on land. Almost 150 Navy destroyers served in the Vietnam War, to include the USS Maddox DD-731 shown here. It was involved in an attack by 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats in the Gulf of Tonkin in August of 1964. Navy destroyers served in various capacities, including offshore fire support, coastal patrol, and interdiction operations. These ships, often referred to as the Greyhound of the fleet, they played a very significant role in the conflict both in the Gulf of Tonkin and along the coast in the rivers of Vietnam. Other examples were the USS Manly, the Turner Joy, the USS Frank E. Evans, the USS Preston, the Blue, the Buchanan, the Stoddard, and the O'Brien. After World War II, new-built United States Navy destroyer escorts were referred to as ocean escorts, but retained the hull classification symbol DE. However, other navies, notably NATO and the USSR, followed the different naming convention for this type of ship, which resulted in some confusion. To remedy this problem, the 1975 ship reclassification declared ocean escorts, and by extension destroyer escorts, as frigates. Examples are the USS Brooks, the USS Samuel B. Roberts, and the USS Glover. The USS Iwo Jima is a great example of the importance of amphibious ships. The Iwo Jima received tons of supplies and scores of Army helicopters, tanker trucks, and vehicles in her hangar and flight deck spaces. Nearly 1,000 troops were embarked for her western transit, which began in April of 1965, and in May the 1st, she landed and steamed off of Vung Tau, South Vietnam, launching off 77 Army helicopters loaded with troops and combat cargo. Some of the other amphibious ships were the USS Tripoli, the USS Valley Forge, the USS Ogden, the USS Duluth, USS Bella Woods, and the USS Fort Marion. Taking a look at the patrol craft and gunboats of the Brownwater Navy, there was the PBR, the patrol boat River, and the patrol boat Fast, called swift boats, as well as gunboats and riverine. These were small, rigid-hull patrol boats used in the Vietnam War from March of '66 until 1975. They were deployed in a force that grew well to 250 boats. The patrol craft Fast, also known as swift boats, were all aluminum, 50 feet long, shallow draft vessels, initially operating to patrol the coastal areas. These vessels were later pressed into service in the interior waterways as part of the infamous Brownwater Navy. Sailors assigned to the mobile riverine force often served longer than 9 months tours, often 12 months or longer. These sailors operated in the challenging and dangerous environment of the Vietnam's rivers and deltas, engaging in patrols, interdiction, and direct combat with Viet Cong forces. The Navy also deployed a variety of mine warfare ships for mine warfare, including ocean minesweepers, amphibious warfare ships, and other ships such as the USS Enhance, the Elusive, the Inflict, the Leader, the Conquest, and the Esteem. These were among the ocean minesweepers that participated in Operation Insweep. The Navy deployed 57-foot minesweeping boats made of non-magnetic metals and partially magnetic ceramic material to protect the crews. Mine warfare was also a significant aspect of the Navy's operation in the Mekong Delta. The USS Sanctuary AH-17 was a hospital ship that served in the Vietnam War, providing vital medical care to wounded personnel. It was a Haven-class hospital ship known for its ability to receive casualties by helicopter and its fully air-conditioned facilities. It could accommodate 796 patients and had 20 wards. The ship had a crew of 568, including medical staff, many of whom were women. The USS Sanctuary was one of the first U.S. Navy ships with a mixed male-female crew. Other supply and support ships were the Sacramento, the Camden, and the Repose. In March of 1966, 3 submarines were deployed off of South Vietnam as part of the 7th Fleet. 37 submarines served in the Vietnam War, including the Balo-class, Barbell-class, Gato-class, Grayback, Permit, Sailfish, Skate, Skipjack, Tang, and Tench. Those submarines played a less visible role in Vietnam compared to service ships. They typically conducted surveillance, reconnaissance, and covert support operations. The Blue Ridge-class LCC landing ship command contained 2 ships, the USS Blue Ridge LC-19 and the USS Mount Whitney. Initially intended to serve as amphibious command ships, the Blue Ridge class became fleet flagship and communications provider, as well as office space and accommodations for the fleet commander and their staff. The USS Benoit was a barrack ship of the United States Navy and the lead ship of her class. She was noticeable for her service in World War II, Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Benoit reached Vietnam and upon her arrival became the flagship of Commander Task Force 117, the mobile riverine force operating in the Mekong Delta. The barrack ship frequently suffered enemy fire and her guns went into action on numerous occasions. The video only concentrated on the class of ships in contact with the enemy. Supply ships would require an entire another video for their enormous contribution to the Vietnam War effort. Hello, and thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did putting it together. It was a phenomenal learning experience to see all the different classifications of United States Navy ships. Stay with us to the next in the series, which we're going to take a look at all of the operational aircraft the Navy deployed during the Vietnam War. We'll follow that with another series on ranks and ratings during the Vietnam War. And then we'll take a look at all of the badges, ribbons, medals earned by Navy veterans during the Vietnam War. So, Thanks for watching Veterans Medals Workshop, and as always, please give us a like, even better, subscribe. It'll keep us on the air, and see you next time. For more information on United States Navy decorations, medals, ribbon only, and unit awards, check out our video.